Motzei Shabbos, Parsha Shmini. One of the very well-known heroes of Parsha Shmini is the story of Nadav and Avihu, where the Pirush HaPoshit of the story was that Vayakrivu Eish Zora Shalei Tziva Isam. They came into the Beis HaMikdash in a time when they weren't supposed to. The day is that Rashi brings what happened, and Vateitze Eish, and the Eibusha took their life. But everybody knows the Pirush that the Rebbe always brings from the Eira Chaim. The Eira Chaim says in the beginning of Parshas Achrei that what happened with Nadav and Avihu was a Rotzi B'li Shuv. Famous Lashonos that the Eira Chaim there says that Nadav and Avihu were in this time, B'yom HaShmini and Chodesh Nissan, when the Mishkan was finally built and the fire came down. So the Rotzu, the Neimus and the Nedivus and the Arevus and the Mesikas, all the Lashonos that Eira Chaim speaks about, that Nadav and Avihu experienced that brought them to a Kaleis HaNefesh. So the hira from Nadav and Avihu is that an Aveda of a Rotzu without a Shuv is not the Kavana al Yoina. It's not what the building of the Mishkan is about. So I'm mentioning this now because it's Motzei Shabbos, and the Farbrengen here began right after Shabbos pretty much, and it's going to last for 24 hours. But the Kavana, obviously, of this whole Farbrengen was not the inyan of Farbrengen Keshelatzma, which is Stama Rotzi without a Shuv. The whole point of the Farbrengen is the Poyel Mamish, something in Maise, the Poyel, that every person listening and watching this Farbrengen should take away the Poyel, what he could do for himself, with his family and his home. The Rebbe himself said, what did the Rebbe say? The Rebbe said, Tut Altz was ihr kennt. The Rebbe didn't say, Verbrengt Altz was ihr kennt. The Rebbe didn't say, Darshent Altz was ihr kennt, or the Tracht was ihr kennt. The Tviyah, the Nisimiskayach of the Rebbe was, Tut Altz was ihr kennt. The Poyel Mamish. So I'd like to take a few minutes to speak about the subject that we're speaking about, the Sicha, Tut Altz was ihr kennt, Moshiach, the negay to every person, what's negay, the Poyel Mamish. Poyel Mamish, some practical, from more of a practical perspective, there'll be a lot of people Farbrengen, met Herren Divrei Chizuk and alle in Yonim von Aleph bis Tov. But what's negay more practically, the Poyel Mamish, what's the Tviyah here? Was Montman? The Rebbe says, Tut Altz was ihr kennt. So the Pele over here is that the Rebbe says, Tut Altz was ihr kennt, but the Rebbe, B'shas Maise, at least then, B'shas Maise, the Rebbe did not type choice. So what is the Tut Altz was ihr kennt? What are we talking about? Was Montman? The Rebbe did say afterwards in the Sicha that Sicha sein eine, zwei und drei, was wollen sich Eitze geben, wie zu tun und was zu tun. But the Poyel, the Rebbe hat nicht gesagt, etwas aprat, later, in the Shabbos afterwards, or certain Anoshim Prati, and the Rebbe said certain things. Can move on the Inyan Ikri that the Rebbe spoke about learning in Yanagol Moshiach. We'll speak about that later. But B'shas Maise, the Rebbe said, Tut Altz was ihr kennt. So let's just look at these words itself. The Poyel Mamish, was liegt on die Werte? Was liegt in the Werte, Tut Altz was ihr kennt? So there's the famous Lashon of Chazal that the Rebbe also spoke about many times, and also in this Tkufa, Tafshin and Aleph, Tafshin and Beis, the Rebbe spoke about it, Kama v'Kama Pomim. There's a famous Arichas de Gesiche, Muge, Pasha Shmeis, Tafshin and Beis, where the Rebbe spoke about the mission of Kol Yemei Chayecha Lahavi L'Meisa Moshiach. And it's Yedua, the Pirush, the Rebbe brings there also in the Sicha of Kol Yemei Chayecha Lahavi L'Meisa Moshiach, in the Sicha the Friedige Rebbe, dein ganzen Leben, Kol Yemei Chayecha, your entire life should be filled with one asek. What am I doing to bring Moshiach? Your whole lifetime in this world, you should be osuk, you should be busy with this subject. Was tue ich herabbringen Mashiach? Kol. So the Mishnah, the Lashon of the Mishnah over here is Kol Yemei Chayecha. So the Kol, the Tut Altz, Kol Yemei Chayecha. So first, if you take a look in the title of what the Rebbe is saying of it, Tut Altz was you can't. Very, very poshut is the pshat of the Kol Yemei Chayecha. The Tut Altz was you can't means very practically. The Rebbe meant von uns not any in the particular prat. The Rebbe here is not speaking about one prat, another prat, one particular mitzvah, the one particular part of your day. The Rebbe is telling you, Altz, Kol Yemei Chayecha, the pashtus. A person wakes up in the morning, you say Maidani, and you have all the hours of the day. You have a lot of hours in the day that you're awake, and there's all kinds of things that you do during the day. There's the three kavim of Teira, Aveda, and Gemilas Chasadim. There's the Kol Masecha L'Shem Shamayim. You're eating, you're drinking, you're going to work, you're meeting people, you're going places, you're doing things. You have a full day. Person has a full day, many, many hours in every single day. A person has to ask himself the question, was tut sich mit der Tvia of the Rebbe Tut Altz? Tut Altz means, look at your day and ask yourself the question, what's going on with the schedule of my day from the morning until at night? Is my day full? Is my day full with the Rebbe's Tvia of Tut Altz? You know, there's the famous Sicha from the Rebbe when he get to the Mishkan, when it says there, the Nissan, they brought the Sheish Eglis Tzav to carry the Kroshim of the Mishkan. And the Rebbe asks the question, the Gemara makes the cheshbon exactly how the Kroshim fit exactly on these argolas. And it wasn't 1 inch that was extra space on these argolas to carry the Kroshim. So the shaila is, in the Beis HaMikdash, the Mishkan then, you have to use dafka such a ofen that it should be so mamish mitzumtzim, that every single space is used up. Why can't it be ofen that it should be simple, breit, to be able to put it on easily? So the Rebbe says, no, it's a in Kedusha, every single thing has to, every piece of energy, every space has to be used up to its fullest. And the Rebbe there says in the Sicha, a person that has 24 hours in the day, and he's using up 23 minutes and 59 seconds in the day, and he's 1 second that he's not using, so there's something here that's levatala. It's not Altz. Tut Altz means kipshutai, that we have to strive to this. We have to strive to start thinking about our day, not just so say this. So I daven 3 times a day. I learn Chitas, I learn Rambam, I have a shir in Teire, I go on Mifzayim, I do certain things. Sure, good. That's good for other times. But the Rebbe comes to Mont and says, Tut Altz. What's the pshat Tut Altz? Tut Altz includes everything. There's not one rega that's not included in Tut Altz. So we have to start thinking a little bit differently. The Tvi of the Rebbe and the Nesimus Kayach that the Rebbe says Tut Altz is that a chassid living in this time period, where the Rebbe says to us, you're on a mission. We're here, we're on a mission, we're bringing Moshiach, and we're in the middle of something. If you're in the middle of doing something, so you don't have time to get distracted with other narishkeit and with other things in the middle of doing something important. So if you're on this mission and the Rebbe tells you Tut Altz was you can't, so but first of all, the pirish haposhet of what this means is to make a cheshbon nefesh, to take a look at the schedule of your day, now boika the erev, and to see where is my day full and where is my day wasted, where is it just idle time which is empty, post with nothing, and was who noch kemen, where else could I fill up the Altz? To strive to fill up the Altz of our day, that our day should be full with being Mekayim, the Rebbe Zaira of Kol Yemei Chayecha Lahavi L'Meis HaMashiach. That's the first Nukud, I think, Poshet, practically, Pirish HaPoshet, when the Rebbe says, Tut Altz was you can't. But the emphasis is that looking at it just in this way, I think it's a Dover HaPoshet, that in the word Tut Altz was you can't, likt asach mer from them. There's much more than this. Because this is pashat bepashtus. I mean, not to waste your time. A person should live every moment. He said, I mean, this is a kol mashabara kadosh baruch hu bailamai lebara dav echad levatala. The Eibusha gives a person the gift of life. The Eibusha gives you the abilities, the keiches that you have. So kapashat. When the Eibusha is giving it to you, ani lein of reisi elo l'shamishes kaini. You have to use that every single moment to the utmost to serve the Eibusha. So it's always brought in my modern Chassidus, the Yomim Yutzaru v'lo yechad behem. The Eibusha creates the days of your life. The Eibusha gives you the gift of the days of your life. Why? V'lo yechad behem. Reinzubringen the actus of the Eibusha in every moment of your day. This is the pashtus, what a chassid has to strive towards, to fill his day with everything with the Eibusha in every moment of his day. But there's something much more over here. Something much more when the Rebbe says Tut Altz was kennt. What does Tut Altz was kennt mean? When the Rebbe said Tut Altz was kennt, so if you do the Rebbe, the words of the Rebbe that's still ringing in our ears, Ad hayom hazeh. The Rebbe said, Ich gib besib b'tzaich. Right? So when the Rebbe said these words, so without any arichis and going into the oimek, whatever, however you look at it, but the pashtus you have in the sichas of the Rebbe, the chiluk between a balesek and a poyel. Because you're a worker by someone, you're an employee, you have a job, you have a 9-to-5 job, and you're working, and you check in and you check out, and you do what you do, and you do it be'emunah. You do your job be'emunah, and even ma'alum me'eva. You do even more than what's demanded of you. But before it, you're a poyel. You're a poyel. Says yen is an asik. It's someone else's issue. Yen get in schlafen banach. The other person is losing sleep if something doesn't work out in the business. A poyel, he gets a salary, he gets paid, whether there's a profit, whether there's a loss. He does his part on that schlaft ruhig banach. That's a poyel. When the Rebbe said Tut Altz was kennt, what's the Tut Altz? At the Zach, those all design negeya. This is the Rebbe says, ich gebe sibbe, that should be deiner azach, should be negeya to you. Should be negeya, du bist the Baal Eisekir, this, inyan amedarf, harobrengen, Moshiach. It should be something that's sein negeya to dir, not mipnei atzivui, as a zweite heister, but it should be negeya to you personally. It should be du bist the Baal Eisekir. It's negeya to you. Something, this is the Lashon Derech Hagav, this is the Lakutei Torah in this week's Parsha. The Alter Rebbe says, Logas, onrieren. As soll der onrieren. The Maisa Yedua, es ist dein Tate. So we're not talking about something, it's a fremde Sach. Es ist yen is a inyi, yen is a simcha. Es ist dein Sach. That's the tviyah. When B'shas something is negeya to you. B'shas it's your asek. And when you have to take care of something, so if you're the balabos here, the pratim is not negeya. You'll figure out what you have to do. If you see something that's negeya to you personally, an issue that's going on in your business, and you're losing $1,000, you're losing $1 million every day, you'll figure out what you have to do. This is a cloud that's lamayla mipratim. If you stand a poyel, so I give you instructions. That's tanazei. Here's your checklist. This is what you have to do. You do this. Shine good. Agetan. Yetzigevent. Fine. You do it behidu mitzvah even more. Good. When the Rebbe says Tut Altz was kennt, and there's no pratim that the Rebbe mentions, it's because the Rebbe is saying nemes. Make it your thing. Make it your achrayis. It should be. You should start realizing I'm a gefintzchana golos. Lashon that the Rebbe then said in the Sicha, as a recht, that in a person's mind, it's possible that morgen the Moshiach nicht kommen and übermorgen. We should start thinking about what's going on over here. There's a cheshach hagolos, there's a shchinte begalusa, there's tzaris that are protias by all kinds of people, and there's all kinds of things. That's one angle of it. That's one Indian. It should start touching us. It should start moving us. We should start realizing that it's negeya to me personally, as me gefindt sich da, as ich gefindt sich da nach cheshach hagolos that I have to pull myself out of. That masai, the tefillah of that masai should be an emes zach that comes from you. Besides that, when the Rebbe said this lashon as his recht, If you look in the Fabrengens, the Hemshech Lezeh, and the Shabbosim afterwards, and the Bechlal, and that Kufa, so one of the main inyanim that the Rebbe kochten and spoke about was Amadafon ibn Leben with Moshiach. We have to live with a geuladige attitude. We have to start living in a different, completely different mindset, a Moshiach-dige mindset, zu sich aufheben von der Galus. As a person lives in the Galus, and he lives with a Galus-dige mindset, so a person can't free himself from the Galus-dige attitude, so it's very hard to start thinking about as that you should start having a hergish that from Moshiach. The cup is your head is Galus-dik. In order for a person to really have the hergish to realize as is nicht recht that we hear in Galus, if you start living Geuladik and you start being Mekayim, the Rebbe's Hayra, to live with Chassidus and with Geula, without getting out into all the Pratim Barichis, because the time is very short. But the point here is, when you start living with the Geula, the way the Rebbe demanded in the Sichas and the Shabbosim afterwards, so then you start looking around and you say, Vos tut men da? Rebbeinu Shalom. We're holding already in a matzav of Geula. The left shame, the Rebbe is lifted us up to a place of Geula. So how you talking that we don't see the Beis Hamikdash b'Peil Mamash Lamata Masarat Tvachim? How you talking we don't see the Rebbe here with us Lamata Masarat Tvachim if the Rebbe already lifts us up a Mahalchin and a Hecher Art? That's really what's going on over here. The Pratim, the reason that there's no Pratim over here is because meret nicht wegen Pratim. The Nekude is as the Zach darf anbieren as sehr stark. If something touches you to the core, you figure out what to do about it. You figure out how to get it done. Maybe one more Nekude. This Lashon that the Rebbe said, Tut Altz was kennt. Just the kitzer, one more Nekude. There is the Nyonim HaYeduim that's Mavur and Chassidus. In the Geya to Matan Torah. We're now in the Tukufas HaAchana to Matan Torah. So when you get to Matan Torah, the union of Akdamas Nasel and Nishma. So the Kitzer, in Chassidus it's Mavur, that there are three different inyanim. There's Nishma, then there's Nasa, and then there's Akdamas Nasel and Nishma. And the Chiluk B'neim is, Nishma means, b'shas you dedicate yourself to something because you understand what it's going to do for you. You understand the ma'ilov that there is in this. You understand the teichen adover. So therefore, it's in your naila. So nishmach her what the inyan is. So therefore, you connect to it and you fulfill it. You dedicate yourself to it. Nasa means that's nicht negeyach, versteh nicht. So ratznelien. If this is what ratznelien is, you mekayim it because that's what the Eibishter wants. It's not negay what I'll have from it and what the mile in the sinyan is, what the teichen adover is. Ratznelien. That's Nasa. But in Chassidus it says that even Nasa is not the emissary, that's not the chiddush of the bittul of the Yidden when Yidden said Nasa v'nishma. Hagdomas Nasa v'nishma, that's a whole different inyan. What's Hagdomas Nasa v'nishma? Hagdomas Nasa v'nishma is that a person dedicates himself to be an Eved. Shas you're an Eved, so you're not a Metzias b'fnei atzmai. You're not making a decision that there's someone that's asking me to do something. Ich bin doch an independent person. So now you have a contract. Yeah, nish. Good. So you can have a decision that comes from a place of nishma. You can have a decision that comes from a place of nasa, which is a deeper Ibegegebenkeit. But far, at the end of the day, ich bin wer ich bin. I'm a Metzias b'fnei atzmai. Now, Hagdamas nasa l'nishma, an Eved doesn't have to know what the pratim his adna is going to tell him to do. So I don't belong to myself. I'm the chatchila here. I'm an Eved of the adn. I'm the chatchila not a ben chayr, an independent person that's thinking, yeah, nish. Whatever the adn is going to say, I'll be mekayim. That's the emes and musig of Akdamas Nasel and Nishma. So in a Maimah, the Rebbe says, so what's the nafkemina from the Yefanim? The nafkemina is Pashit. B'shas there's a Nishma. So here, there's a very big nafkemina. If you're being mekayim a mitzvah, that you have a geschmack in this, that you understand the maila, the point and the inyan of the mitzvah, and a mitzvah that you do b'derech eskafia, a mitzvah that you do as a chayk, you don't know what it's about, you don't understand the mitzvah, no, but you do it with Kabbalah style. There's a very big difference. It's not b'shava b'chlal. Even in Nasa, even when a person does a mitzvah, with the dedication of Naaseh, sof, if you view yourself as a Metzias for yourself, I'm here, I exist for myself. Now I'm deciding to fulfill what the Eibishter wants of me. It's never going to be the same, one mitzvah and another. The only time there's a real hishtavus, the shivisi avayel anegdi somet, the hishtavus, that it's rotzne elyon, is when there's the yisoid and the haschala that there has to be by every person, that ani loy nevreisi. Ani loy nevreisi. Rebbe spoke about the Simchas Torah Tavshin and Beis. Ani, the Gerson Chazal, ani loy nevreisi, b'chlal nish faran. You're not here b'chlal. Hello, l'shamish eskaini. Elamai, du bist doch hier faran. What's your entire metzias? L'shamish eskaini. That's what your whole being is. When you have that there, when you realize that we're here and the Eibishter made us avodim, avodai heim. When you have the head of the avodai heim, then there's a hishtavus in everything that you do. When the Rebbe says Tut Altz was you can't, Altz means that Ibegegebenkeit completely, where Altz, where there's that hergish, that me'abayker ad the erev, it's not only a checklist or something that you have to ask yourself, how am I filling my day? You wake up in the morning and you say, Maida ani lefanecha melech. Was doch gesagt melech? Was heißt melech? So da kennig, there's a king. If there's a melech, so who are you? Heißt es, du bist an eved. So if that's the metzias that you announced and said in the morning when you woke up, so then an eved is alt. Everything you have is l'shamish eskaini. So the emphasis when the Rebbe says, "Gib yisibet sa'aich." So the question that was always asked is, the Rebbe is bringing Moshiach, and then the Rebbe says, "Gib yisibet sa'aich." What are we talking about, B'chlal? We have a psa'erech to this. We have a psa'shayches to the saying that the Rebbe is bringing Moshiach. Every ish prati has there's no erech B'chlal to the inyanim of the Rebbe. The Rebbe is bringing Moshiach. Elamai, the teretz is Eved Melech Melech. Of course, if you're Metzias b'fnei atzmai, and the trachs mit eigene seichel, and you're a person for yourself, and you have your own agenda, can sein a heilige agenda, could be feine, gute Sachen. But fart, if you're a person for yourself, if Metzias for sich, and you didn't internalize that melech that you announced every single morning, so then say this. Where's their kesher? Who the gibbis b'tzaich? The gibbis b'tzaich is Eved Melech Melech. If you're an Eved, so then you're an extension of the Melech. You become an extension of the Melech, and then you can be Mekayim, and you become a part of what the Rebbe is doing to bring Moshiach. As I mentioned, the Ikir is to take out something, the Poil Mamish Lamata Masaret Tvachim. Whether it is when you get to the schedule of your day, to look the Poil Mamish in the schedule of your day to see how am I filling that out. Kol yemei chayecha, am I filling that out? Lahavi l'maysa Mashiach. And v'ayid v'hu ha'ikir, the hira that the Rebbe said to learn in Yonei Gula Mashiach, that when you begin learning in Yonei Gula Mashiach, you start living with the inyanim of Mashiach. You learn them in Niglet, Chassidus, and the Rebbe's Teire Befrat. So there's a mitzvah over here that's beginning, the kesher to this Fabrengen, to learn the Dvar Malchus that the Rebbe himself gave out. The Yodei Agdesha, the Rebbe gave out to all Chassidim, everyone present, Anoshim, Noshim, V'taf, the four main sichas of the Rebbe on Yonei Gula Mashiach, to take this Dvar Malchus that the Rebbe stood and gave out the Yodei Agdesha, to learn it with Poel Mamish, and when we learn the Rebbe's Teire in Yonei Gula Mashiach, so that's something in Maisa B'Poel that we can start to take from there to strive to the Altz, to then lift up our entire life and our families and our homes. That when the Rebbe comes into our home, the Rebbe walks into your house, you should see what's the asek, what's the Altz, what's the environment in the home, what are you talking about to your children in the house? What's the reading material in your house? What are people watching in your house? What are people doing in your house? The Altz, that your lives should be geuladik, durchgenommen mit the Rebbe and the Rebbe's inyanim and the geula, and by bringing the Rebbe down lamata masaret tvachim and living with your family, with the Rebbe in your home. So then this is the way how to bring down the Beis Hamikdash Ashlishi, Mikdash Adna Kein Yedach Lamata V'Peil Mamish Lamata Masaret Tvachim. L'chaim Yidin, a gute Woche.